The night reeked of sour rain and broken promises when Layla Khan first heard the groan rising from the alley's dumpster. She was hurrying home from her second shift at the all-night bakery, arms cradling 2 bulging sacks of day-old bread she meant to share with her neighbors. Stormwater spattered her worn sneakers, but it wasn't the cold that made her stop dead, it was that low, despair-drenched sound from the shadows. Most people would have hurried on. Layla set down the bread, squared her shoulders, and stepped toward the garbage. A man lay half-hidden between torn boxes and glimmering glass bottles. His tuxedo jacket, yes, a tuxedo, was streaked with mud and champagne, his bow tie dangling like a surrender flag. Strands of silvered hair clung to his forehead, a fresh bruise purpled his cheekbone. The alley's lone street lamp flashed across a corporate access badge hanging crookedly from his pocket, Damien Cole, Chief Executive Officer, Coltech Industries. Coltech. Even in her rundown corner of the city, everyone knew that name. Damien Cole was the golden boy of tech, brash, brilliant, untouchable. Yet here he was, drunk and discarded like yesterday's leftovers. Layla knelt and pressed 2 fingers to his neck. Pulse thready, breath sharp with cognac. One shoe was missing. Somewhere between the gala on Riverside Avenue and this rain-slick alley, the city had swallowed its richest son. "Sir," she whispered. No answer. She considered calling an ambulance, but the hidden math of poverty flickered through her mind. An ambulance meant police questions, maybe the media, maybe bills with too many zeros. She couldn't afford any of that, not with Mama's insulin overdue and rent 3 days late. Still, leaving him was unthinkable. She nudged his shoulder. Chocolate brown eyes fluttered, unfocused. "Let's get you out of here," she said, more resolve than strength. She hailed a taxi with the last of her coins. The driver scowled at the smell. "Bad night," Layla lied, tugging Damien upright. He sagged against her, heavy as grief. For 10 rattling blocks she held his head so it wouldn't bang the window, whispering half-remembered lullabies her mother used to sing in Urdu when fevers ran high. Her apartment was a matchbox perched above a shuttered convenience store. She eased him onto the single mattress, pushed aside textbooks and knitting needles, and hunted for first-aid supplies in a coffee tin. His forehead beaded with sweat, she sponged it with cool water, then draped her only clean towel across his shoulders. At dawn he stirred, swearing softly. "Where? Who?" He blinked at the cracked ceiling, then at Layla's face. Something flickered behind his eyes, confusion, calculation, before a wall slid back into place. He tried to sit, winced, and found the CEO badge still clipped to his lapel. For a heartbeat, Layla thought he might rip it off and pretend he was someone else. Instead he cleared his throat. "I owe you more than I can say." Layla shrugged. "You owe me breakfast. But I only have bread and tea." He managed a laugh that sounded like rust cracking. "Tea would be perfect." While the kettle hissed, Layla's phone buzzed with reminders, pharmacy bill due, landlord's final notice. Damien noticed the screen, the avalanche of red fonts. His gaze slipped to the peeling wallpaper, the unstable shelf held up by stacked paperback novels. "You shouldn't have brought me here," he murmured. "And leave you in the trash." She handed him chipped porcelain. "Not my style." "I can fix this," he said, gesturing at the cramped room. "All of it. I didn't pull you from a dumpster for rewards." She sipped her own tea. "You looked like someone who'd forgotten he mattered." That sentence landed harder than any lecture. His swagger deflated. He cradled the mug as if anchoring himself to its warmth. "What if I told you I haven't mattered, to anyone, for a very long time?" "I'd say," Layla answered, "that's a lie you've told yourself so often it feels true." He left 3 hours later, promising to send a car for her, promising money, promising, well, too much. Layla refused every offer and escorted him downstairs instead. When she returned, a thick envelope waited by the kettle. She opened it with shaking fingers, 50 crisp notes of staggering value. Rent. Medicine. Freedom. One slip of paper bore a phone number and 2 words in looping script, "if you ever need." She stared at the money until tears blurred the ink, then stuffed the bills back and marched outside. The city had taught her nothing came without cost. She chased Damien's black sedan for a block before thrusting the envelope through the half-opened window. I said no, she panted. His face, half hidden by tinted glass, looked wounded but respectful. With a silent nod, the car merged into traffic and vanished. Days stretched into a cautious calm. Layla returned to work, double-checking alleyways out of habit. Every night she packed unsold bread into paper bags for the other tenants, Mrs. Gutierrez upstairs whose pension barely covered utilities, Mr. Nguyen who limped since the factory accident, and the ragtag kids who skated in the abandoned parking lot. Small mercies, she called them, stitches for a city's frayed corners. One Tuesday evening, Coltech vans rolled into the neighborhood. Workers erected a portable health clinic in the vacant lot. Free check UPS, diabetes screenings, flu shots, services the local hospital no longer provided after funding cuts. People lined up, bewildered but grateful. Layla, clutching a tray of cupcakes donated by her bakery, nearly dropped them when she saw Damien, clean-shaven, pressed suit, but eyes gentler, handing out forms in fluent Spanish. Cameras hovered at a respectful distance, he waved them away. He spotted her. I figured you'd be here. Layla scowled. Publicity stunt. No cameras, he reminded her. This is something else. That week Damien returned daily, sometimes alone, sometimes with trucks of fresh produce, job fair recruiters, even a mobile coding classroom for teens. The neighborhood buzzed, cynics waited for the catch. Layla waited, too, arms crossed. At dusk he helped her distribute bread. Once, while she rebandaged the blister on a boy's heel, Damien crouched beside her and whispered, "How many pairs of shoes could you buy if you'd kept my money?" How many CEOs would crawl on wet asphalt to clean public restrooms, she retorted, nodding to the smeared gloves dangling from his pocket. He grinned, but a storm hid behind the smile. After midnight, as tents folded and generators shut down, Damien asked if he could walk her home. Under streetlights shedding gold halos, he spoke about the night that detonated his life, the charity gala, the investor betrayal, the mocking headlines. But deeper wounds showed when he described the plane crash that stole his sister, a plane he'd gifted her. He drank to numb the guilt until, on gala night, he'd staggered away from speeches and champagne and blacked out behind a hotel. I woke in your apartment, he said, and thought, if a stranger who has nothing still believes I'm worth saving, maybe I should start believing it, too. Layla folded her arms against the wind. You don't need to prove anything to me. I'm not, he said. I'm proving it to myself. But I'd like your help. They drafted plans over shawarma and spilled tea. Layla proposed a recycling cooperative employing residents. They'd collect scrap, sort it, sell it directly to manufacturers for fair rates. Damien agreed to fund machinery and offer business mentorship. In return, she insisted on shared ownership, no corporate branding, no hidden clause. He pressed his palm over his heart, Scout's honor. The next hurdle arrived wearing sleek heels and a predatory smile, Victoria Prentice, Coltech's chief legal officer. She cornered Damien in the boardroom, flanked by shareholders ticked gray with caution. Our brand can't afford back-alley charity, she sneered. If you insist on bleeding resources into that slum, the board will vote to replace you. Damien's voice was iron dipped in honey. Replace me, then. But you'll need a reason better than compassion. He pivoted to the display screen and unspooled a presentation Layla had helped him craft, graphs of profit lost to waste disposal, projections of savings from the cooperative's recycled materials, a photo of Layla handing bread to a laughing child. This project, he concluded, isn't charity. It's smart, sustainable business. It reminds the world why Coltech exists, to build, not discard. Silence cracked under slow, reluctant applause. The board postponed its mutiny.